it's heartbreaking. But just prayers for him, because they did announce that it was cardiac arrest on the field, and they had to get his heart back pumping, and then he was at a stage where he had a pulse but wasn't breathing on his own. So just prayers to Demar, his family, T, his teammates, coaches, and everyone that was involved in that situation. And the game of football is a physical, dangerous game, but you never want to see anything like that happen. So.
Yeah. DC, you have anything?
Martin, I think I was under the impression that he was coming on in the second segment, so I'm sorry I haven't called him.
DC joins us the entire segment.
I'm so sorry. Okay, well then that's my mistake. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Aiden has been on Tuesday, so but he joins us for the entirety of the show now, so that's fine. You can get him added on, and we'll still let him respond in the second half. As we go to break here, I want to say this: very dangerous. And I remember when I was being recruited to come play football in college, and Alabama had a tragedy. Willie Rawls was a young man who died on the football field, practice field, from a blood clot in his brain, and that was like the year before my senior year, or the summer of my senior year, and then another young man. He didn't die on the field, but he died in a car wreck. And so, like, I remember that all happening, and it was just tough. So it takes a little while. This is what I would tell all of the parents and grandparents and family and friends out there. Thank God that we've never, that this has only happened one time to a former Lions player in the early 70s. Of course, Darryl Stingley was paralyzed on the field tragically at one point as well. But excuse me, it was not. It doesn't happen a lot, but it is a violent sport, and now you see why I have zero issues with college players being paid. You see why I have zero issues with people being paid for this sport because of the risk that comes with it. But I do hope people don't overreact in the sense of pray for all of those who have young kids and growing up, that they don't run away from this sport because of what they witnessed tonight. Be cautious. Make sure you put your kids in the right spots and with the right coaches to teach them how to play the game. But there was nothing. There have been so many more violent hits than the one that happened that caused this than the one last night. It was. I'm going to believe that they're probably going to come out and tell us just the perfect storm of what all happened that caused this. But nevertheless, we're praying. We're lifting up Demar Hamlin and his family, specifically his mom, who had to walk that long road and ride in that ambulance, not knowing the circumstance of the situation. And we're just going to continue to believe for a miracle of complete healing and restoration. Whether he ever plays football again is secondary, but also lift up all of those men because that's like a brother to them as family, and that they all have the things that they need as well. All right, coming back on the other side, we'll add DC to the conversation as well as get his thoughts on roster management for Alabama, that fifth KPI, key performance index for the Crimson Tide, as well as some review of the last couple of days of Alabama football and what's happening there. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the towns of Nissan traffic to Newton,
A wreck to start our Tuesday morning. We got one an overturned vehicle on US 11. That's University Boulevard near the Oasis Restaurant in Cottondale. Another one on 2059 westbound before exit 68. If you see other conditions, give me a call. It's a new month, new year, and new savings for you at Townsend Nissan. Go grab a deal. I'm Captain Ray.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name. Mesrano, 206-6300.
No representation when the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff. Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher & Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher & Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com, a little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
We have an active weather day ahead. Showers and thunderstorms are likely. Storms this afternoon and this evening could be severe with potential for hail, strong winds, possibly an isolated tornado or two. The high today 73, the low tonight 61. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Good morning. First, I just want to give a huge shout out to the University of Alabama. These past 3 years have been the best years of my life. They've taken great care of me and my family. To Coach Saban, thank you so much for believing in me and giving me this opportunity. I was just a freshman, and he was on my butt every day at practice. To my coaches, my position coaches, Coach Sal, Coach Hessler, thank you for coaching me up, showing me a lot of love, showing my people a lot of love, getting me to this point. And to all my teammates, I thank y'all so much for believing in me, trusting in me, giving me confidence to be able to go out there and do my job and help you guys out, and just being able to respond to me as a good leader and all those good things. But I also have to shout out my family. They've been my backbone during this whole time. My mom, my dad, all my sisters, my aunties, my grandma, my granddad. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the love and support, the good times, the bad times, the hard times. You guys stood by my side, waking up at 3 a.m. crying in the morning. Y'all was always there for me. I appreciate you guys. I have to give all of the glory to God. Thank you to Josh, Alex, Sid, EP, all the staff that work here. It speaks volume to the people that's here, because not only did they take care of me, but they really took care of my family. And if you know me, I'm really big on family. And for them to open us with welcome arms and help us like that and love on us, it means the absolute world to me. To all the media guys, thank you guys for being so respectful all the time, every time I was up here. Thank you guys for treating my family with respect every time you seen them somewhere out in public. You guys are very appreciated. I just want to thank the University of Alabama again. Y'all will always hold a special place in my heart. And with that being said, I will be declaring for the 2023 draft. Thank you, and roll tide.
Roll tide. That's Will Anderson, and we'll be talking about him with some roster management with DC, but I have to pay a couple bills. So before we get into that conversation with DC and X, I want to encourage you to take the Alabama One Credit Card Challenge. Low rates make a difference. Compare Alabama One's rates on their credit cards to the one that you're using the most today and see which one is better. Our current rate variable milestone card as low as 10.99. Our fixed rate Transcend card 12.99. The average variable rate out there for a credit card is 19.2 versus ours at 10.99. And so you can go check that out, take that challenge, and also you'll get other great benefits, including easy and convenient contactless pay option, one reward point per $1. You would spend on the Transcend and 1.5 on the Milestone. Use this card at millions of places. No annual fee, no balance transfer fee, and no cash advance fee. Want a lower rate? Want a better card? Take the Alabama One Credit Card Challenge. Go to alabama1.org and apply now. Alabama one together. What's your one? All right, DC, that was welcome into the program. I will give you a chance. We did in that first segment talk about Demar Hamlin and praying for him and his family and friends and teammates and T. Higgins and others. Any quick thoughts or anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, Martin. Thank you for having me on today. Yeah, I just wanted to say I think you've all covered it very well, but I think it's all about the young man, Demar Hamlin, and I think that the NFL made the right decision to cancel the game and or postpone the game indefinitely. No way those young people who had experienced that type of tragedy on the field should be asked to play a game after that. So I applaud all those who handled it well in that situation. But my prayers go out to the young man, his family. I know a little bit about this type of thing because of some research I'd done years ago in the past over this. But when it first happened, I told my wife that it looked like he had, sudden cardiac syndrome, which from a blunt force trauma. And there's a lot of stuff you can do on that. But I know your daughter Morgan is in this field, and so some great changes been made since years ago. In 1995, the New England Journal of Medicine did a study of this because this was happening a lot in young people in sports such as baseball,
especially baseball.
Yeah, especially in baseball. And they did a study, and you can go back and look at this study. It's still out there on the internet. It's 1995 New England Journal of Medicine study, and it had 25 cases of people young people between the ages of 3 and 19. In those 25 cases, all but 2 did not survive, and the 2 that did survived with brain damage. And they were from blunt force traumas that was not a very hard hit, not out of the ordinary. Some of them had on protective gear. They stood up and the majority of them stood up for a few seconds and then passed out. And that exactly looked like what I saw on TV last night. And so I knew a little bit about it from studies I'd done. But this study in 1995 was the catalyst for the improvements that we've seen in youth sports around the world, around the nation, and other sports. And still today, regrettably, there are places that don't have access to the best medical care. And I know that having the best trainers on the field in every place is important. But they had the best trainers on the field last night, and you got to see 2 things working in action. The medical staff providing the best training possible leaps into their mode at a time where you don't expect this to happen, but you've trained for it. And from what I can tell, they were able to get his pulse rate back while he's on the field and use of some kind of machine, got him resuscitated. Still having trouble breathing, but was able to get some oxygen going to him. So I think he has a good chance of survival, but based on the improvements and advances that have been made since this 1995 study has been done. So although it's not uncommon, it's not unheard of in sports to be hit in a routine play and lose, or your heart going into cardiac arrest. And so I'm just thankful for the advances in medicine that we've had based on that we saw on stage last night. The second thing came together was a power of prayer. I'm a believer, and at the moment that happened, I began to pray for the young man and his family. But seeing all the prayers that were going up for him on social media, it was just great to see God, on the front stage. They're doing what we know He does, and that answered prayer. And so, prayers for him, prayers for T. Higgins and his family, and prayers for the entire NFL family who sees such a tragedy take place right before your eyes. And I think it's really great that we can see the medical advances come to place, and also us come to a point of understanding that God is in control and that He's the one you call on in situations like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, DC. X.
Yeah, just thankful for everything that has been able to happen with that situation. But as we move forward, we're going to talk about Will Anderson and him leaving Alabama, headed to the NFL, one of 4 guys that announced yesterday. We're going to find out more about Eli Ricks today as he's making his decision. Well, Will Anderson and what he's meant to Alabama over the last 3 years. One of the best football players that we've ever seen put on the Crimson Tide uniform is done. And when you're looking at the impact that he brought to Alabama and what he means to the university, it is outmatched by very few. And excited to see what the next step for him is. DC, when you look at Will Anderson and what he meant to Alabama, what do you think his lasting impact is going to be?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Probably one of the best defensive players, best players to come through the University of Alabama ever. I think he could probably be considered the most decorated, won most awards, consensus All-American, and set himself up as one of the best players in the history of Alabama football, but not only just the best players, one of the best people. And I remember a quote that Coach Saban said after the national championship against Ohio State, when he said, "It's a pleasure when the best players on your team are also the best people on your team." And I think Will Anderson is the epitome of that. Just a team player, culture driven, has a good drive in his family background to put him in a position where he was to take advantage of the athletics of his God-given talent that he had, but had to develop that and was able to take coaching. And I think that was a big part of his whole culture of Will Anderson. I think that bled over into some of the other players on the team. So I think it was a big impact. It'll be a big loss, but I think he has a big career future ahead of him in the NFL.
And I think that Will probably be a better NFL player than he was even college because I think he'll be used more effectively. I think I would not be surprised to see him in some of that Micah Parsons type role at some point as well. But Will Anderson made his case to be the best defensive player that's ever played at the University of Alabama. If you look at statistics, he's only surpassed by one in the legendary Derek Thomas. When you look at awards, he is not surpassed by any on either side of the ball. And you look at, he stands in one place that no other man has ever stood, that's worn that crimson jersey. And when you think of the great tradition of Alabama football and the fact that a player in 2022 could do something that's never been done, that's not a lot of things that never been done in Alabama football. But as a 2-time unanimous All-American, Will Anderson stands alone. And it's going to come down to the debate throughout the millennials will be which guy you like. But he did everything he could to leave. But I'll close at this, and you guys we can respond on the other side. But did Will Anderson do as much for the future of Alabama football in his last game by just participating as he did the previous 3 years in all that he did? Did he epitomize everything that Nick Saban said about him 2+ years ago by what he did in that game? And is that as important to the future of Alabama football as any play, tackle, sack award that he won? We'll continue the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show with a little bit more roster management. We'll hear from another guy who made the case that he's the greatest to ever play his position as well at the Capstone, and he also ascended to a place that no other player at his position has ascended to. We'll talk about him and more as we continue to talk about Alabama football, the Crimson Tide, roster management, and more right here with DC Capstone Report and Xavier Houston of X&O Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, some good news. Authorities have cleared up both the wrecks that we had earlier this morning. Roadways look good. Drive carefully. If you see conditions, just give me a call. 205-886-8886. It's a new month, new year, and new savings for you at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
What you've heard about probiotics is probably wrong.
I eat yogurt, so I don't need to take a probiotic. Probiotics? They don't really work.
It's time to learn the truth about probiotics and join the Align Healthy Gut Team Up. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align probiotics for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel. Get $2 off your first month of Align at alignprobiotics.com.
I'm attorney Stephen Mizrano. We've all heard the different lawyer ads.
We can get you the money you deserve.
We fight and go to court.
But who should I call?
Ask to speak and meet with the actual person on TV, radio, or billboard. At the Mizrano Law Firm, we're dedicated to our clients. And no matter how big or how small your case is, we want to meet and answer all your questions. Day and night, we're working hard to get you the money you deserve. One name, one call, Mizrano, 206-6300. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than that of other lawyers.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. I would like to thank my family, my grandma, my aunt, my uncle. I want to thank Coach Saban, Coach G, Bryce, Will for accepting me. Since I've been here, it felt like I've been here for 3 years. They welcomed me with open arms. It's been one of the best years of my life, and I'm very appreciative of them. So with that being said, I'll be declaring for the 2003 NFL Draft.
Gibbs, running back, who transferred in from Georgia Tech. play his junior season at the University of Alabama, declaring for the NFL draft. But before we talk a little bit more about him, to finish up the last point on about Will Anderson and what he did in his last game, and is that as important as everything that he did in his first 3 years? And I'm going to say yes. There's a guy, RJ Young, who's a Big 12 homer, Oklahoma guy, who actually talked about Bryce and Will playing in this game and said, hey, they've set a standard that there's no more excuses not to play in these bowl games. And so just to think that you have a guy on a national scale talking about their decision to play and how important that is to college football, and a game that, quote unquote, doesn't mean anything. So there's now a level of no excuses left for these guys to play. DC, what are your opinions on Will deciding to play in this final game?
Well, I think you're exactly correct, X. I think he has now raised the standard. Sometimes that's what you want on a team, is other players to raise the standard. And now he's raised the standard. Bryce Young raised the standard of playing in these games and not opting out. And so I think that buys into the culture that Nick Saban has created. So I would agree with you. I think that what he did in his last game, really was as good or better than everything he's ever done in setting the culture at the University of Alabama. So I think other players that are coming along, recruits, players that are on the team now, know it's time to either put up or shut up. You got to get up and raise to that standard, or, as you've seen, some people have transferred out that doesn't feel like they can compete here or want to go somewhere else. So I think him not opting out sets the standard not only for the Alabama team, but for all the football, just like the national writer said. When you got Bryce Young and Will Anderson who says, hey, I'm going to play in the game, what's everybody else's excuse at that point for not playing in the game? So I think he's done much in this last game to help the culture that Alabama has did his whole 3 years.
DC, before you go to Pat, Joe, and I want DC and Joe to respond to this. And Joe, you can go first, and then we'll come to DC. Did Will and Bryce and all of the other guys, because it wasn't just Will and Bryce, it was this entire group. We can't say it did. Could this potentially change that mindset of guys opting out of bowl games, or is that trend too far gone? Did these guys, in doing so, because what we had said was these guys won't help themselves. Well, there was quite a few seniors, including Bryce Young, added value to himself. Will added value to himself just by showing their team guys. But other guys even made even better plays and showed even more. Was that enough to even not just help Alabama's culture in the future, but possibly even college football?
I think the first part, you're right. It's going to take some time to find out how it impacts college football and Alabama. But if I had to prognosticate and guess, Martin, I'm going to say that it's probably too far gone.
Okay. DC, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to have a little different thought than Joe on that. And I believe this. First of all, I think it affects Alabama's culture, no doubt. I think that's something that's going to help us down the road here for what they did. But I think it can affect the national culture, and this is how it can affect it. Martin, you and I live in a world, and we have to be in reality that's driven by goals, and the main goal for these young men is playing NFL. It's going to affect it if the NFL recognizes what they did, and people are rewarded for that. In other words, if you play in the bowl game, it means something to those in the NFL for your culture, for your character, for your teammates. If that is valued, if the NFL puts a value on that, like to do all the other combine things, if they value that as much as they value a quarterback's hand size, then I think it changes the trajectory. If the NFL doesn't value it, because that is the standard of who's hiring these young men out of college, if the NFL doesn't value it, then it may not. But I think it has the potential to do just that. All it takes is NFL scouts, NFL front office, and teams valuing this decision, and it'll trickle down to managers and agents making recommendations that are team oriented instead of selfish oriented. So I think that's important.
Well, one of the big things of they have like the Wonderlic test and all that stuff, but they do these personal interviews. And if that conversation happens in those personal interviews, and that's the part where they'll acknowledge whether they value it or not. I don't know that whether or not you will see, Bryce and Will's draft rank go up, but you could see if it comes out that we chose Bryce over this guy because they were neck and neck, but when he showed his commitment to team, that would bolster it. If a Brian Branch or a Byron Young or any of these guys, if we start hearing conversations as draft comes up and on draft day that these guys separated themselves by their commitment to play, then it changes culture moving forward. If we don't hear anything, as you said, DC, from the NFL side, nothing's going to change. X, I kick it to you.
Yeah, and I think that's it. That's what it's going to be down at the end of the day. If you hear those things come out, because for a while it's been excused. But moving on to Pat on the Alabama One hotline. Pat, welcome into the show. Happy New Year. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to you guys too. I wanted to talk a little bit about. I think Brian Branch added extreme amount of value. I don't doubt that Brian Branch didn't move up at least 7 or 8 spots in the draft. What do you?
I mean, when you look at what he did, the type of game he had, I think it was 4 tackles for a loss, 12 tackles, an interception, a sack. I mean, there's an all around amazing game for Brian on his way out at Alabama as well. I've seen people say he's now the number 1 safety in this class, which can get you anywhere from realistically probably from picks 10 to 25 in this draft class.
Let me say this. Brian Branch was already by some the number 1 safety. What Brian Branch did was separate himself potentially from whoever was next to him. Okay. If he was number 1, he's clearly number 1 as they go into combine. The combines and stuff, the way they value this stuff, you don't ever know how that's going to play out. But Brian Branch added tremendous value. Guys, you need to understand the way the NFL draft works. It doesn't. You can't say where a guy's going to get drafted until the season's over and where guys go. Okay, if I'm a team and I don't need a safety and I don't need a safety until I'm the 20th team, that's where Brian Branch is going to go. If there's 3 or 4 teams that need a safety and they're in the top 10, Brian Branch is going to be off the board. So I don't get caught up in as much as he's going to move up. Brian Branch, he was the number 1 safety going in, Pat, but he solidified that position, in my opinion, and now it's up to him through the combines and training whether he maintains it.
Yeah, and guys, I'm gonna get something started here this morning. That I got confirmation from some of my Red Elephant Club buddies that hey, we're gonna get a co-defensive coordinator that in one Jeremy Pruitt. So I just wanted to be the first one to start this mess this morning.
Pat,
hey, I'm listening.
I hate to tell you ain't the first one. The moment before they hired Hugh Freeze at Auburn, the moment they started talking about hiring Hugh Freeze at Auburn, we started saying on here, man, if they do that, then that may open the door for us to bring Jeremy Pruitt and Bo Davis back. so welcome to the train. I don't know if it's going to happen, though.
Bo Davis is coming back. And and I just want to be the first, to really get this mess going this morning. There's no way that Pruitt that they're going to let Pruitt come back. But yes, sir, that like I said, my Red Elephant Club buddy's pretty much in the know.
All right.
And hey,
sounds
you
good,
guys. Hey, Malachi Moore coming back. How big is this for us being able to bring on these defensive backs that we got coming into this class.
DC?
Well, I think Malachi Moore coming back is a big get for Alabama. I really do. I think it's going to be instrumental in bringing along these young guys that are coming in and get some playing time and allow them to play in that star position and get on the field quicker. So I think it adds a lot to this team going forward.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah. Blessed day, fellas. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Hey, come back on the other side. We'll keep the conversation going. We got one more player we want to get into. Roster management, that fifth KPI. Nick Saban has some challenges ahead, but hey, he took care of a few things with the recruiting. But now 4 guys declared for the draft. 14 draft eligible players, 15 in the portal. Will that impact 2023 and beyond? We'll talk about roster management on the other side with DC Capstone Report. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, and we're able to do this each and every day because we got great sponsors like Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. Go check them out for lunch and or dinner. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, some good news. Authorities have cleared up both the wrecks that we had earlier this morning. Roadways look good. Drive carefully. If you see conditions, just give me a call. 205-886-8886. It's a new month, new year, and new savings for you at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. It could be a dark and stormy day across West Alabama today. There'll be a couple of waves of severe weather. This afternoon will be the one that has the better chance for tornadic activity. However, the center of that storm that is the strongest is moving to the north and into Tennessee, removing some of that tornado threat late this afternoon and into the early evening hours. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. The Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
In a collision, easy decision. Make one call to one name. Mesrano, 206-6300.
No representation made that quality legal services to be performed is greater than quality legal services performed by other lawyers.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Town Square comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God. Without him, none of this is possible, and through him, I can do all things. I'd like to thank my family, my parents, my mom, my dad, and the rest of my family and everyone who supported me. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Coach Xavier for always believing in me and the entire university, and a thank you to all the supporters, all the fans that helped, everyone in the building. My teammates, my brothers through all 3 years here. Everyone that I've been able to play with and be around are the reason that I've been able to do what I have while I've been here. Also, to thank everyone, all my coaches, everyone who works here, everyone on the staff, in all facets. This has been, coming here was the best decision of my life. So I'm forever grateful for the University of Alabama, and all that, and everyone that's with them. And with that being said, I'll be declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. Thank you, guys.
All right, hey, that's Bryce Willis. Bryce Willis, Bryce Young, declaring for the NFL Draft, and a young man that set himself apart, of course, as a player here, and may stand alone as well, in some respects, doing things that haven't been done before at that position. I want to respond to a comment we had on chat from Veronica Taylor. She was saying that playing in bowl games can definitely help players like Branch in the draft, who are great anyway. But as far as from now on, the fact that these players played in a bowl game is not going to make other young men say, oh, I have to stay to prove the team can depend on me. These young men are ready to work and get paid NFL, not NIL. But we're assuming that that's why you keep hearing me say, we keep talking about Bryce and Will. Bryce and Will were going to get drafted where they were going to get drafted, okay? But there's a whole nother set of guys on this roster. Guys, we have a misconception of NFL and how they pick guys. There's a lot of third and fourth round guys. That's their top line. They need to do things to help themselves. And there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of young people out there who are being told, hey, go ahead and play. Go ahead and leave and get ready for the NFL draft because that's the best thing for you. That's not always true to get ready that way. Sometimes it's better to play and let them see you play one more time, because why are these guys going to the Senior Bowl? So they can get on film one more time. And that's what the bowl game can do. I'm not saying it will do. I'm just saying that is it's not going to make an All-American necessarily play in a bowl game somewhere else, but it definitely and she said, but that's not the concern you guys had before they decided. My concern was with Will and Bryce was whether or not they would stay healthy and could get hurt. I actually do believe that you can help yourself in the bowl game, but I also think you can hurt yourself in a bowl game. But to me, there's no such thing as a meaningless bowl game. All the bowl games have been that way. Before, when there was before there was a college football playoffs, there only one or two teams were playing for the national championship. So I don't know why that changed just because of college football, but it did. Let's get to Leon. Leon, you in with the Martin Houston Show with DC and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Martin, I just look at how things have changed so much from how things used to be. We have taken and started putting more emphasis on people who are not really concerned about the subject matter. In other words, we took what we call a bad word when it comes down to sports and football and stuff, and made it a cute compound word and started giving emphasis to people who does it. Talking about opt out. Opt out is merely quitting. Bryce, Will, and the other guys at Alabama who decided to play in the ball game, they decided to honor the commitment that they put their name on the line when they signed a scholarship. Okay, now I give them kudos for doing that, but I don't give them nearly as much credit as I give derogatory acclaim to those who decide, well, hey, man, they don't even honor my scholarship to the end. I'm just going to quit. Well, who like a quitter? Come on, man. Those guys who opt out, they quit. But we came to this compound word, this cute opt out. Man, you quit. That's all it is too.
Yeah, good point, X.
No, you can definitely look at it that way. I'm the proponent of the player doing what's best for them at the end of the day, whether that's playing or not playing. I definitely think throughout all the conversations, you have to be concerned about some injuries that we have seen in bowl games. But as it was stated, none of these bowl games outside of the national championship game have ever actually mattered in the grand scheme of things. It's an exhibition game at the end of the day and set you up for the future. But I'm never going to fault a guy for doing what he feels like is best for him.
And Leon, I'm gonna have to get ready to get out of here. But Leon, here's my question, and Veronica said, concerned about them abandoning their team. I'm still concerned with that, because my question becomes this: let's say Alabama, DC was 7-5 or 8-4. Why play the Auburn game? Why play?
Right.
Why play the 11th game if you're locked in? Why play the 9th game when you're out of the playoff picture? That's where it's going if it doesn't trend the other way. Because if you'll not play the last game, you will not play whatever point you are out of it at some point.
Right.
And because no one would have ever thought that, Leon, we'd be at this place with kids opting out. I get it. And I understand it, because that's the way they're being recruited. They're being recruited to get to the NFL. That's Nick Saban's selling point. So I get it, because that's the way he recruited them. And when they get to that point where they've done enough to do that, then you can't fault the kids for making that. You can't fault the kids, unfortunately, because that's what he's selling them on. Thanks, Leon. I appreciate you, sir. Hey, DC, closing thoughts, sir.
Well, my closing thought on that is, Martin, I understand what Leon's saying there. I understand exactly what you're saying. My thought is this: if I'm an NFL executive, I want to make sure who I'm getting to come from me, because I want to make sure decisions they make down the road, are they going to be decisions that are going to be take the easy way out, or are they going to stick and do and make a commitment? So I'm looking at commitment as a factor if I'm an NFL executive, and I think that's something that these kids ought to consider when they're going to decide to opt out or not.
All right. Hey, that's DC Capstone Report. We didn't get to talk about Bama hoops, but we'll review it on tomorrow as well. Please remember Hamlin and his family and all those involved with that situation. We'll talk about Coach Oates in their game against Ole Miss on tomorrow as they take on the Rebels. And hey, remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody, and go visit DCCapstoneReport.com.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.